What's life been like post-tournament, having some time?
Oh, it's it still stays pretty hectic. You obviously you got the Final Four, which is our coaches convention, the meetings there, and we've continued to be involved in recruiting as many days as you can go out, and then just this week we started workouts again and get the guys going with that, and got about a 4-week window with that, and then we got probably 3 weeks left of recruiting, and we'll it doesn't slow down, to be honest. It would be nice to get a couple days, but hopefully in May we'll have a little bit of time.
Just wondering, having watched Texas Tech go on the run they did after tying them in the Big 12 standings, what was your reaction to that, and does it give you confidence that maybe you guys can do the same thing?
Well, obviously you're happy for them and Chris Beard, and you're kind of, I guess, proud that you tied them for the championship. You beat them the last time we played. The other game was very close there. You got to give them credit. It's great for our league, for their program. He's a good guy, and but yeah, I think it's also a year ago they lost a bunch of people and added a couple pieces, and that group got better, and they went on a run. I heard one of their players say that coach got us together last summer and said we have enough players to get deep into the tournament, and I guess they were right. But you got to get the right pieces, and they got to buy in, and so it's I think it's good everybody a little bit of confidence that if you get the guys buying in and they're coachable and they understand their roles, and obviously Culver stepped up, Moody stepped up, some of those guys, Morietti, they got to improve, and that's got to be the same thing with us. A year from now you should have 3 of the best players in the Big 12 if they do what they're supposed to, and Mac and Xavier and Cartier, and if now I guess the key will be like them finding those other pieces and guys stepping up and taking their games to another level.
You mentioned recruiting earlier. With the grad transfer thing now and dozens to hundreds of kids all of a sudden being recruitable again, how much does that change this part of the year for you?
Oh, it's changed a lot. I mean, I called a good friend who is losing a guy, and it's a really good player, and his first thing he said was cuss words to me, and I said, well, thank you, and I said, I'm sorry. It's just it sucks. It sucks for especially whether it's mid-major, high majors. I mean, kids are leaving high majors to go other places, and so it's part of the world. You got to change. You got to deal with it. I don't like it, but it's part of our game, and you got to deal with it, and our coaches every day, who's on the ticker, who's on the wire, who's added on there, and does it make any sense for us?
Has Xavier told you what he's going to do yet?
He put his name in through the advisory council, whatever, through the NBA. You get an evaluation, and then you make a decision, put your name in. I'm sure he will, trying to get some workouts. I think that's the biggest thing for him is, a lot like Barry. I thought Barry handled it well last year. Got a couple workouts. It was a positive thing for him. It kept him motivated, kept him working. And, now when Barry goes back this year to have workouts, he's been through some of those, and it won't be a, total shock to him, and he'll have hopefully a good comfort zone.
You mentioned maybe having 3 of the better players in the league, probably in, Cardi and X and Mac. Is that a good sign for the program that, you're not resetting, you're not losing 6 seniors?
Well, yeah, I mean, we're going to miss, Barry, Dean, and Cam. There's no doubt. I got all the things I was going through, and it's astronomical. I mean, I asked Tom, has any other class ever had 3,000-point scores? And no, that hasn't happened. And we have 4 with Xavier. So, we're going to lose a lot, but you feel good about those guys. Can some of the new guys, the guys that are here, take a step? They all. They had a taste of it, good and the bad, and, now what did they do with it? We had, a good week of workouts this week. Actually, there's just a couple guys that even took time off. We couldn't be with them for 2 weeks, but, a lot of the main guys, they were in the gym on Monday, working out, and they were, doing what they need to do. And that's, I hope that's part of the culture. And I think Texas Tech, when you talk about them, they great culture, great leadership. And that's so important to continue into the next year.
Good news left. Are you still having conversations as far as anybody else at this point?
Yeah, there's always conversations, and I talked to a good friend today, and he had his meetings a couple of weeks ago, like everyone, and all of a sudden somebody popped in today and said, I think I'm going to go look at another place. I think it's it is what it is. So we we just kind of keep address, anticipating that something could happen. And, you're always looking at kids, and then junior recruiting starts too very quickly. So we got AAU the last weekend of April, and then you got to try to get kids on campus.
With Good News, was that something where he'd been talking to you a lot about that, or is it kind of like he just kind
I
of?
think it just kind of it just felt like it was, he didn't realize maybe how tough a level it was, and he wanted to play, immediate, sooner than later, and just felt it was the right situation for him.
Ideally, what would you like to add? Moving forward with this.
I think if we can get obviously whatever position, somebody can make some baskets. I mean, you're losing a lot of points. I feel good about the freshmen coming in, all three of them. They had great years. But they can. How many points can they bring to the table? And then, Carty's got to. I told Carty he's got to be like Culver. Culver was really. He was good a year ago, and then he took his game to a whole nother level. Same thing. Xavier's got to take it. He'll be the focal point. Mac has showed some signs. Now can he be consistent? Double-double, 14-12 last game, most minutes played. Can he do that consistently? So those guys got to do that, but it would be nice to add somebody can score.
Kind of a follow-up to that, with Good News, the spot opening up, do you think, are you guys already wanting to target a transfer or a JUCO guy?
We've been talking to grad transfers, been talking to high school kids, a lot of, jobs change every day. It seems like, new group, when a job changes, the kids there, the kids coming to those programs, they all get releases. So, like I say, I don't like it. I don't like that part of the business, but it is what it is. And if you don't, obviously it was a great benefit to Texas Tech, to add those two older guys, stay old, and those guys were successful. Now, I think you guys, there's probably data out there that a lot of the grad transfers haven't been successful, but you just hope you pick the right ones.
I noticed that Chester's contract is up at the end of the month. What's the process of renewing it with him and any of your assistants really?
Oh, everybody's my contract. Well, I guess it's not my year, whatever they call it. You got a year contract you always sign, but everyone's is up at the end of the. I don't know if it's whenever they started, whenever we started to. So every year it's a new process. They just sign a letter that they accept the new one. I've talked to Gene a little bit about. Last year they got pretty good bumps, and the coaches did, and I'd anticipate probably a little more of that for them this year, but we'll see. We're just kind of waiting and see what I haven't been here, and Gene was at the Final Four. I sat with him at a luncheon, the champion luncheon, and we have had some conversation, and hopefully here the next stretch he'll come up with some ideas about what we can do to continue to make the program better.
What advice can you give to guys as well when it comes to hiring agents like Dean and Cam?
Oh, we can give advice that all the time. I mean, I've been talking to him and his parents and Barry and his parents and Cam. I mean, Barry, probably going back and Dean a year and because it's part of it. You knew it was going to be there. Just try to give them the advice because I've been fortunate to have a lot of guys that have ended up in the NBA and the agent part of it is a big key. You don't realize how important it is because how some of them are connected. Picking the right one could make a big difference. So, we've continued to talk. I know Dean is a little bit frustrated and trying to make a final decision. But I think he's down to two guys, and hopefully here within a day or so he kind of picks that. Barry picked somebody. He went through the process. Coach Frazier and I were part of teleconferences with interviewing guys and. I tell them I'm never going to tell you who to pick, but I will tell you if I don't think somebody's good for you, and I'll tell you why because my experience with somebody else or things I've heard or whatever. But there is a science to it, and hopefully they pick the right ones that help them.
You think Dean can impress people even though he's going through the foot thing?
Yeah, I went to Barry's practice at the Final Four for the All-Star game, and I went to the game. I sat with a lot of NBA guys. A lot of them came up. They wanted to know his status. Obviously, I think he still, has a chance to get drafted. A lot will if he can get back and get some workouts. I do not anticipate him playing in the combine, but I would hope if it all goes right that somewhere that first, second week of June, he'll be able to do some workouts, and then can he do enough and impress enough people to, get himself where he's in the mix. And, we'll see. I know a lot of people are positive about him. Ironically, one of the things that really helped them is when Chauncey Billups and Stan Van Gundy had our game, because I don't know how many guys came up to me and said, well, Chauncey told me about Dean Wade and this and Barry Brown, and Stan told me about this. So, it was a positive thing as far as that goes.
Monty and Antonio are some guys with some positional versatility. Now that they finish up their senior seasons, do you see them as fours, or is it hard to make
I think
that?
a little bit of both. In new modern basketball, are you a 3, are you a 4, are you a 5? I don't know, but I think that's something we got to see when they get here. Some of it is not what you are offensively; it's what you are defensively. What can you guard a 3? Can you guard a 2? Can you switch on a ball screen? All that stuff. So, I called all those guys last week, Dejuan, Montavious and Antonio. I said, you're 2 months away, and don't wait to, get after it now. So when you get here, it's not a total shock to your bodies. And, I think they're all working hard. At least that's what they're telling us. Obviously, they can't match the intensity level or the competition that they're going to have here. But, I think they all want to work very hard. And hopefully, we're hoping they give us something.
Russo was talking to Gardy out there just about next season and about his role. What do you think is the next step in his game?
Well, one, stay healthy. I think that would help. 2 is he needs to be a dominant factor. He needs to be consistently there every game on both ends of the court. I think he's physically capable enough, to do that. Obviously, freshman year was disrupted with a major injury. This year got disrupted with a minor, I don't know, say a minor injury. They didn't allow him to play, but now he showed, both at times this year, at times as his freshman year. I mean, he can be one of the best players, on the court, and that's what he's got to do all the time. I need leadership out of him and Xavier. Mac said, Coach, I'll be a leader by example, and that's fine. He's not a talker, but that's going to be important. We're going to miss, whether Barry was the vocal leader, but those other 2 guys came every day and did their job, and that leading by example is important also.